Francis comments, if you will. Francis, we spoke to on Tuesday. You know the whole story by now. We don't have to rehash it. This is what Dana White had to say about Francis Ngannou signing with the PFL.
You know, based on what I know about the deal, which is not much.
By the way, can you pause there? My favorite is, based on what I know about the deal, which is not much, and then proceeds to talk about it for like 6 minutes. So just remember the not much part when you're listening to all of this.
It makes no sense to me. I mean, you're going to pay a guy not to fight for a year, and it's already been like 18 months. He's fought 3 times in the last 3 years.
Okay, pause it right there. Now, the pay a guy for a year thing I think is very interesting because, as you guys know, a promotion that is not the UFC, you know, they have to sweeten the pot a little bit. So by saying that, is he referring to the fact that they're giving him like a stipend, you know, to, you know, because there's some promotions are doing this, like, you know, there's some fighters that get this sort of like monthly salary. Now, are they paying him not to fight, or was it part of the deal that like, hey, I'm going to get this boxing match out of the way, and then I'm going to fight for you guys? Still, you got to sweeten the pot. That's just, you know, that's just what it takes to get big name fighters to sign with you if you're not the UFC. Now, this idea that he hasn't fought in 18 months is very conveniently framed. We all know he's coming off major knee surgery. And if you look at his activity prior to that, fought twice in 2019, fought in May of 2020. Of course, the pandemic screwed everything up. And you remember after the Jairzinho Rosenstrike fight, you know, he was banging the drum to get a fight, wanted to fight, all the stuff with, you know, with John Jones and all that stuff, and then came back and fought Stipe in March of 2021, and then fought Ciryl Gane in January of 2022. So between February of 2019 and January of 2022, which is 3 years, he fought 5 times. Now, he hasn't fought in 18 months because he's coming off ACL surgery and was a free agent and had to deal with all that. So to frame that he hasn't fought, he fights once every year, this and that, is a bullshit way of framing all of this. So I just want you to remember like what the actual facts are. Please continue.
It's just not what we do here. It's not what we do. And
please
the day
pause
that
there.
we
I'm sorry.
released,
We just have a lot to talk about. What does it mean, it's not what we do here? What does that even mean, it's not what we do here? Like, guys fighting once a year is not what you do? Like, what does that mean? When's Khamzat fighting again? When's the last time he fought? Like, Nate Diaz sat on the sidelines, was iced because of his contract. What is he referring to exactly by not what we do here? Not what we do? Like, you don't give fights. Like, remember in the early days of the pandemic, Conor couldn't get a fight? Again, he always loves to say the thing about the 3 fights a year. We got to give them 3 fights a year. And yet, they don't offer the 3 fights a year. The 3 fights a year thing is not true. It's an average that he has come up with 3 fights a year. I can show you a lot of fights. When's the last time Dustin Poirier fought? He fought in November. He's fighting again in July. You think he's fighting 3 times this year? Do you think he turned down 3 fights? No, it's all nonsense. Please continue.
I knew exactly what was going to happen. And
can we go back just a smidge? Because we just missed a very important part. I don't know if he just said when we released him, I knew exactly what was going to happen. This is him trying to trick all of you into believing something that did not happen. They never released him. He was a free agent. His contract expired. The only thing that they waived was like the elongated matching rights. They did not release Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou was never released. He fought out his deal and then waited until the whole extra year was up that they had because of the Champions Clause so that he could walk free and clear. The UFC did not release Francis Ngannou. He is going to say that from now until the end of time. That is not true. It's 100% a lie. Okay, so he said that right there. We missed that word, but that's what he said. He said, when we released him, I knew this was going to happen. Please continue.
In the last 3 years, it's just not what we do here.
You heard it.
It's not what we do. And the day that we released him,
did not release him,
I knew exactly what was going to happen. And Francis wants to take 0 risks. Doesn't want to take any chances. And he obviously didn't want to take a chance against John Jones.
Okay, please pause there. Please pause there. Could you imagine the fucking chutzpah of a person like Dana White sitting there and talking about a person like Francis Ngannou, a guy who, again, we don't need to rehash the whole life story, who left Cameroon with nothing, who went on a raft, who was swimming through shark-infested waters, who was arrested, who was put in jail, who was put in detention centers, who slept in a parking garage while he tried to chase his dream in France. Could you imagine saying that that guy doesn't want to take risks? Like literally, that guy put his life on the line multiple times, was put in detention center multiple times, had to jump off rafts, had to swim, had to do all this stuff, had to live homeless. That guy doesn't want to take risks? Like, what are we talking about now? This has become so ridiculous. He claims to not care about this stuff. He claims to have thick skin. He's so mad that the heavyweight champion walked out and said, I don't want your free tickets. I don't want to sit front row at your events. And you're trying to spin, you're trying to smear the name of a guy who escaped poverty, extreme poverty, to chase a dream, and who was sleeping in the freaking jungle. And that's the guy who doesn't want to take a risk. That's the guy who's running from John Jones. There's actual factual evidence of them going back and forth, of Francis calling for the John Jones fight multiple times in 2020, in 2021. You guys couldn't get a deal done with John Jones. In fact, after Francis beat Stipe, you yourself went to the press conference and said that John Jones shouldn't take this fight. Do you remember that at the press conference? Oh, that's right. We have the footage. Here's what he said in March of 2021.
Man, the idea of a John Jones fight seems awfully exciting right now. And John came out, tweeted, said, show me the money. What appeals to you most? Because it seems like that would be an amazing super fight.
If I'm John Jones and I'm home watching this fight, I start moving to 85.
That's 2 years ago. Oh, it's so funny. Boss,
you
it's
think
so
that's
funny.
a fight that you'd like to put together next? I mean, I know we don't matchmake, but that sure does seem exciting.
Listen, I can sit here all day and tell you, what show me the money mean? I tell you guys this all the time. If you can say you want to fight somebody, but do you really want to?
Yeah, do you really want to? Okay, but now it's John the one that wants to fight, right? And Francis is the guy who's ducking. Francis is the one that doesn't want to fight. Francis is the one who takes the easy route. Continue.
What happened with Cyril Gane, I don't blame him. I think the outcome would have been exactly the same. And I'm sure most of you do, and I'm sure Francis does too.
Oh, you think John Jones is guillotining Francis Ngannou in the first 2 minutes? The same Francis Ngannou who beat Cyril Gane with wrestling and a busted knee, a knee that a doctor told him he shouldn't be fighting on? Yeah, I'm sure that guy is petrified. I'm sure that dude is absolutely petrified. What the fuck are you talking about? Oh, by the way, at that same press conference 2 years ago, right after the Stipe fight, this is what Dana White had to say about Francis Ngannou.
Francis likes to stay active, and Francis likes to fight. At the press conference the other day when we were talking about, he'll call and just say he wants fights. Just give me somebody, I'll fight. So the guy likes to stay busy, he likes to be active, he likes to fight, and he's fun to watch.
Oh, that guy likes to stay busy 2 years ago, but now he's afraid. Now he doesn't want the smoke. Now he doesn't want to put anything on the line. Don't fall for this, guys. I know you love to lick them boots. I know you. Everyone was running to Twitter. You're looking like fools. They're playing you like puppets. Continue.
And the media makes it sound like that I'm saying that he's afraid of him.
This is exactly what you're saying.
I don't think that he's afraid of anybody.
Watch the spin.
It's just the fact that he doesn't want to take any risk. He wants to, PFL's going to pay this guy to train for a boxing match that may not even happen and that they might not even be involved in.
Francis is pause.
How does that?
Francis is talking right now. He is chasing a fight that everyone says he's going to get smoked in. He's going to lose to Tyson Fury. He's going to lose to Deontay Wilder. He's going to lose to Anthony Joshua. He'll lose to Dillian White. He'll even lose to Derek Chisora. He's chasing that fight, which if he loses and gets smoked, would take a lot of the luster off this PFL deal. That's the guy that doesn't want to take a risk. Everyone's saying, take the PFL fight first, get the easy win, build yourself back up, get some mojo, get some confidence going, put yourself in the spotlight. No. He's going to do the tougher thing first. The thing that everyone is saying he's dumb for doing, that he should be fighting just MMA and stop wasting his time with this. That's the guy that doesn't want to take a risk. What the fuck are you saying? None of this makes sense. It's so ridiculous. Like, you sit there and you listen to it. It's like, how can any of you fall for this shit? Please continue.
That make any sense? It doesn't make sense to me. I mean, Anthony Joshua called it a gimmick fight this week. When asked about that fight, He's like, I'm focused on fighting the best guys in the world. You know, I'm not interested in the gimmick fight right now. And that's one of the big problems with boxing right now, is it's all about these gimmicky type fights. And that's just not what I do here. It's not what I do. I put on fights with the best fighters in the world, and fights that people want to see.
Pause it right there. Do you guys remember James Toney versus Randy Couture, Boston, UFC 118? They don't put on those fights, right? What happened when a pro wrestler named CM Punk came over to the UFC? Did they put on those fights back then? What do you guys think? Is the BMF title? I mean, the week that they put together a BMF title that means nothing, a title fight to headline a pay-per-view because they need to have a title fight and there are no available champions, and they force their other champion, unbeknownst to him, to fight in August in Boston. They resurrected a title that he had said would never be defended again. They don't put on those gimmick fights. They allowed Conor McGregor to fight Floyd Mayweather. They were a part of one of those gimmick fights. And then he's talking about the guy who is the lineal heavyweight champion, was not beat. He's like of your division, of your organization, the heavyweight champion, the one who 2 years ago you were saying, John Jones, you should run away from. That's the gimmick fight? You're shitting on your own organization by saying that. His last fight was in your own organization, and he beat the guy that you thought was going to be the next big thing at heavyweight. You promote slap fighting. You promote slap fighting. You drag two truck drivers, one from Idaho and the other from Utah. You wipe their face. There's ketchup and mustard all over their beard. And you say, please put one hand behind your back. Here's some chalk. And good luck slapping the shit out of each other. You promote that. And you're above Francis Ngannou versus Anthony Joshua. You rearranged an entire card because Khamzat Chimaev missed weight by 8 pounds. And fighters had to take fights on 24 hours notice just so that he can remain on the card. And you don't do that? It's a walking, talking contradiction. Everything coming out of that man's mouth. And you all are loving it and eating it up. And it's embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing that that's what represents our sport, excuse me. Please continue.
A deal here. Hunter threw the kitchen sink at that guy, you know? Hunter went to more dinners with Francis Ngannou and did everything in his power to try to get this fight done. And, you know, Francis just thinks that he's in a position where he's got some Conor McGregor Mayweather fight on his hands, which he does not. That fight was like a once-in-a-lifetime type deal. Fight that I wasn't very interested in. But at the end of the day, it became so big. The right guys, the right time, the right place. The fans wanted it, so we did it, and we got it done.
And by the way,
MMA guys versus.
By the way, the fight that he didn't want, that he fought, that he resisted, was one of the most successful pay-per-views in the history of combat sports. Like, that's a fact. So, and he resisted. They got it done. I mean, they did absolutely nothing. The only thing they did was like, yes, Conor, you could take that fight. They didn't produce it. They didn't have to put up anything. Like, it was just like a yes, go ahead. That's how they got it done. Taking all the credit for the mega fight. It was a Showtime pay-per-view. Please continue. And a promotion.
Boxers doesn't make any sense to me. But I know that he thinks there's all this money in it. I disagree. I don't think there is. And I have no beef with the PFL. I mean, these guys have always been
this is a great
super
part.
professional and, never talked any smack. You know me. If I don't like you, whether it's De La Hoya or another, organization out there, whatever it is, I don't hold back. I'll let you have it. But, what they're doing makes no sense to me. Their business strategy. I'm hearing that.
By the way, before you get into this part, he says, I like those guys. They never talk shit. And now he's about to proceed to talk shit about them. I don't think Francis is afraid. He's a cool guy and all, but let me just shit on him for, 3-4 minutes. Watch the shit talking now.
Raising money right now,
And what's wrong with that?
280 million, 300 million. I don't know what the number is.
Good.
From the Middle East. And I've done a lot of business in the Middle East.
And it is true.
Those guys are sharp, and they know what to do. I don't know who in the hell would give them $280 million because I'm hearing they're buying Bellator.
Pause that for a
right?
second. The Bellator thing isn't true. They did talk to them. At the moment, they're not buying Bellator. Who knows what's happening? But they're not one of the front runners to buy Bellator. And who cares that they're like investment from the Middle East? That is true as well, and that is close. How is that a sign that they don't know what they're doing? In fact, if there is someone out there that is willing to pay them $300 million, that means that there's people out there that believe in them. No different than the people who invested in the UFC back in the day. No different than the 10% that you got Abu Dhabi to invest in you back in 2010. You remember that? Like, how is that a sign of not knowing what you're doing? Walking, talking contradiction. Continue.
So you're an organization that's burning cash,
I don't talk shit
have
about
no
them.
ratings and selling no tickets.
I like those guys.
And you're going to raise $280 million to buy a company that's burning cash, sells no tickets, and does no ratings. It sounds fucking absolutely genius to me.
Is that true? Is that a fact?
And I don't know. I know how this story ends. I get what Francis is doing. I wish the PFL all the luck in the world. I wish him all the luck in the world.
No, you don't.
It's just not what we do here.
What does that mean?
You know, right now when you think about it, he's going to this company. I don't know what they're paying him or what's going on or any of that stuff. He's not even fighting their champions. You know what I mean? He wants to box. He signs with this company, and he's not even willing to fight their champions right now. He's fought 3 times in the last 3 years, and it's been like 18 months since he's fought, and from what I'm hearing, he's not going to fight for another year.
He's not even fighting their champions?
All the stuff that's being talked about, it's all bullshit by the media.
What does
the
that
media is creating all this bullshit. It's like
the media?
I had to listen to this fuck.
Pause it. The media is creating all this bullshit. What does that mean? We're going off the facts that are being presented to us. They don't have champions. They make a new champion every year. And he put in his contract this clause that he wants his opponent to, make at least $2 million. Don't talk about that. Oh, what a horrible guy. So maybe that's the carrot that is being dangled. I can assure you they're not letting anyone walk and fight out their contract. But that he's spinning the whole thing. He's changing the narrative. He's trying to fool you the entire time. I hope the people that at least watch this show, I hope, and I feel confident saying this, aren't dumb enough to believe all of this nonsense. All he could have said was like, look, man, God bless. It was a great run. He's going out there. Like, imagine if this type of stuff happened in the NBA, in the NFL. Someone leaves an imagine Mark Cuban sat up there and was like, Jalen Brunson didn't want the smoke. Jalen Brunson didn't want to play with Luka. Jalen Brunson was afraid of the Western Conference. Like, this doesn't happen in real life. This doesn't happen in real sports, in real business. But this guy sits up here and tries to smear the name of like one of the good things in this sport. A guy who's not done any wrong to anyone, who only has a life and a backstory that Hollywood wouldn't even believe. And trying to shit on him for just not wanting the deal. He put out the tweet he's like, bro, I moved on. Why you got to shit on me on the way out? Why do you have to make up lies, change narratives, smear my name? How much is left in this clip? I've had enough at this point. Nah, I'm good.